You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 226 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, but you already knew that. And
Who doesn't know Ray Hewart?
They all know that I'm here, and you
that
also
voice comes
know,
on, they're like, "Oh, it's time.
You
the
also
show has
know
begun."
Jeff Gargis is in the house. So hey Jeff, what's cracking?
Not a whole lot. Been in the house all day. Definitely in the house. Don't leave the house, really.
Well, I mean, COVID, hashtag 2020.
Haven't left the house in 8 months.
That's not true.
Haven't showered either. Just said, I'm not going anywhere.
I was meaning to talk to you about that because we're on YouTube now. People can see us during our introduction, and
they can see the I have squiggly
stench.
lines coming up.
Yes,
is that what's happening?
The
Yeah.
Stench. I showered today. Got my hair looks good. I'm all dressed. I smell lovely. Just so y'all know.
Very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
Good job. Good stuff. Things are good. This was a fun night. We did 3 podcasts tonight, which is always a good time. It's a makes for a long day, long night, but always awesome when we get to talk with a bunch of educators. So
Absolutely.
Excited about this one. Before we get into this episode, can we celebrate? Let's celebrate. I don't know what this is. I guess this is my celebration dance. So that is
good times. Come on, yeah, celebration. Absolutely, Chris. Put the pretty music. Can you put music? Chris will always do things when we ask him nicely, but can you put the little da na 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 na?
Oh, Chris, you're gonna have to look at copyright laws and be careful with that.
Oh, come on, Chris, just make it happen for me. Or how about a dun 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 dun, like something like that? I think.
Hey, Chris, cool. Can you just take what Ray just did and just repeat it?
Celebrate good times, come on. Na 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 na. Woo! Celebrate good times, come on. Na 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 na. Woo! Celebrate good times, come on. Na 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 na. Woo!
That is our background music. Forever, for everything else in the company.
Whatever. Chris knows what I'm saying. Thanks, Chris.
So I want to talk about our friend Jen Apple.
Ooh.
Her new book that is not out yet. It's almost out. Right?
Wait, what day?
No, it is out.
It is out today.
No, it's pre-order right now.
Oh, pre-order is perfect time to order the book. Then it's
now.
Pre-ordered.
Yes, it's pre-order. Well, so I apologize. We're trying to figure it out because this podcast episode that we're recording right now comes out
on the 16th, which is when pre-order opens.
No, it comes out on the 19th.
Oh,
which pre-order starts on the 16th. So right now, as you're hearing this, pre-order is already going, and the book comes out tomorrow on the 20th.
Tomorrow.
So super cool. I feel like Jen just she's like, I'm gonna write 18 books, and just starts writing books, and they just come out.
I love her children's book.
This one is connected to her previous book, which is Award-winning Dog, which is a great book, great children's book. This one is connected. This one is called I Am Who, right? I say that right? And look, the most important piece that we need to know about this book is that my dog Tasty is in the book.
Oh my goodness. This book is so...
And look, I know Jen will back me on that. That is the moral of the story. The most important part of the book is that Tasty is in the book.
We are very excited that Tasty's in it, but this children's book also addresses anxiety and stress. And yes, your dog is in it, but there's also a lot of other positives about this book.
No. All jokes aside, it's really awesome. So Jen put out a thing. She had all kinds of people submit their dogs and what makes them an award-winning dog and all these cool things. And I think the pictures I sent really sealed the deal because they were really good, really cute. But yeah, Tasty's in it. I don't know exactly how she's in there. I have seen a little bit of a sneak peek, but you'll have to get the book to see. I'd really love to know if you can point out and pick out which dog is my dog. Because I'm not sure if it actually will. I don't know if her name will actually be in. I think she's just a dog that's there. I'm not sure. I have to get the book still and read it. And here's the best part. My kids don't know she's in there.
How exciting.
So we've read Award-winning Dog multiple times. My daughter loves it. So when we read this, they're going to see the connection. But I'm waiting for the look when they realize that Tasty's in the book. So I'm super excited. But yeah, so the book's
pretty hard to miss a massive dog like Tasty.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if she's gonna be. I guess she'll be massive, but depending on how they have her, she might not be massive in the book, right? I mean,
but she kind of looks like a hippo. I feel like she's hard to miss.
She does. Do you know that we call her our hippo, or is that just pure? Okay, I was just making sure. I'm like, I hope you know that that's what we call her, is a hippo. So anyway, so super excited for Jen. We're gonna be live tomorrow. We've been live a couple more times beforehand talking about this book. It's super cool. Great for the kids. Great for both at home and in the classroom. So. Best place to go for that is awardmanculture.com, I believe.
Yeah, it's correct. On Amazon and on Etsy now. So you can literally grab the book anywhere you'd like, and make sure you grab not only this book, but the first book, because this really is a part of a series. And it's so wonderful for not only your children at home before bedtime, which I know, Jeff, is you do a lot of fun book time with the kiddos. But hey, also in the classroom. These are great lessons. They have great morals, easily relatable. Cannot wait to hear what you guys think of the brand new book.
It totally all ties into Hans's book, Awardman Culture, too. It's all connected. It's a really neat thing. And I believe there are. I hope I'm okay to say this, but I believe there are lesson plans coming in the future too that tie into the book as well, which is super cool. So awardmanculture.com for all that. Congrats, Jen. Super awesome. We love being involved with it. Really appreciate that a whole lot. So interesting that you mentioned the story time, because our guests and I also talked about how, when I talked about his book, that most was reading is with his kids.
Yep.
Misha Feigenson he came to us I gotta give him props. We do it in the episode, but 4 a.m. where he is, because he's in Israel and chatting with us. But really cool story here. So he and his wife started a company called ThinkingCapInnovations, right? And so they have ThinkingCap Math and ThinkingCap Spanish and stuff, and it's just a really neat. I'm really excited about it. You know me, I like this whole voice thing and the Alexa stuff, and I think it's where a lot of things are going. They're all over that and really having a really positive impact in schools. So I'm excited for people to listen to that and hear all about their journey and what he's trying to do with it and the impact they're having. So I'm excited to dive into it. Ray, anything other than the fact that, I know you love Israel, so
that's true.
There was that connection again with you.
I just love bringing in people from the outside the U.S., to be honest. Yes. I think it's beautiful and we're able to share the stories and amplify the stories of educators in the U.S. But anytime we can bring someone in from Canada, Germany, Israel, Russia is a great opportunity for us to just continue to connect with educators around the world. So honored he joined us.
All right. With that, let's get to episode 226 with Misha Feigenson.
Hey guys, it's Ray. We will get right back to this episode. However, I am so just overjoyed, truly, to give a big shout out to Jennifer Apple, member of the Teach Better team, and just all-around incredible educator all-star, who just published her second children's book. I love this because all of her children's books are part of a series. This is book 2, and you guys know I love puppies, and it is all about the animals that not only she has in her life, but also the incredible adventures they get into. You'll definitely want to check out this series and her brand new book that comes out November 20th. Please make sure that you go grab your copy. This is a perfect Christmas gift for anyone in your family. And hey, I even am going to use it with my 6th graders in the classroom when we're working on mentor tech. So, hey, you can go grab this book on Amazon, Etsy, or awardwinningculture.com. And I cannot wait to see all the photos on social media with this book launch. All right, guys, let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're here and we are chatting with Misha. Misha, it's so awesome to have you on the podcast. You and Ray are already connected because you were coming to us from Jerusalem, Israel, and it's so awesome to be over there. We didn't touch on this before we got started, but it's super early right now for you, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you, Ray, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it's actually 4 a.m. here, and I want to warn the listeners that if I talk too loud, my kids can wake up during our conversation. So
we don't want that. We don't want that.
Yeah, I promise you don't want this to happen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's great to have you on. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited to kind of dive into everything you got going on. But before that, how are you doing other than, tired because it's 4 a.m. right now? Yeah. How are you feeling?
Look, we have been in a lockdown for the past almost a month. And this week our kids went back to school, which is very exciting for us as parents. and also for them, it's not challenging, but also it's actually sometimes a great opportunity for homeschooling. And I actually enjoyed. We have 4 kids, and our two oldest in schools. Like our oldest, the son is in the 4th grade, and the daughter in 2nd grade. And I don't know. It's a great opportunity, really, to make sure they learn something that you. So, like, I worked with my son on math, and we worked with my daughter on other stuff. It says really, like, it actually was time good spent. Let's put it this way.
I completely agree. I think a lot of families did enjoy some wonderful family time. So I'm glad you're able to enjoy that as well. Yeah. Misha, I do want to make sure that our audience gets to know you as well as we kind of get started into these questions. Do you mind kind of sharing with our audience, answering that age-old question of what you do? Tell us a little about what you do.
Yeah, sure. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Ray. So I'm a physicist by education. So maybe let me start by saying that I was born in Russia and I grew up in Israel. And we also lived, my wife is originally from the US, so we lived in the US also. And now we're back to Israel. And I'm a physicist by education. But about 8 years ago, I left physics, and together with my wife, we started an app development company that helps parents like ourselves. It was just when our first son was born. And our first product was a baby sleep app. He was a very bad sleeper, our son. So we pretty much built it for ourselves. And it became a very successful app. And by now it has more than 5 million downloads. So it's became very interesting very interesting work. But as our kids grew, came new challenges and came new ideas. And about 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, when he started 1st grade, he was struggling with math. And around the same time, we bought Alexa. And I was watching my kids interacting with this device. And it's very interesting for them talking to Alexa, talking to a machine is like talking to a real person. They can laugh with it and then get upset with it. And I like technology. I was tinkering with it, trying to learn how to program it. And so it's this very interesting observation. So looking at them talking to this machine like a real person, I thought, well, it's very interesting because if I build something educational, it will feel to them they are talking to a real person, and that's. So that's one thing. And another interesting observation was that when it's what is called multitasking. So they can talk to Alexa, and later when I build something, when I build this first prototype of program that teaches math, they could do math with Alexa while doing other things. So they could exercise Alexa while building their Lego contraptions. And that's very powerful because I believe it often happens that our learning time is in competition with our playing time. And it doesn't have to be this way. It can be together. And the third most important thing that I liked about Alexa, that there is no screen. And today, after more than half a year in pandemic, we have to convince anybody about damage that screens can do to our kids. But we actually very strict about kids. We raise our kids we don't have TV, we don't have computer games. It's very interesting. It's actually very interesting what you can achieve with your kids when you don't have screens at home. And so for me, it was a very powerful thing. I said, well, that thing can be very powerful educational tool. And around the same time, I learned about power of mental math. Now, as many of your listeners may know, mental math is our ability to do math in our head without paper, without calculator. And it turns out, and there's a big research about that our ability to do our math in our heads in the early age is crucial for our success in later years. So pretty much is a direct correlation of our ability to do math in our head and finish in high school and get into college. So it's that strong. So I said, wow, we have something very powerful here, because that device is exactly for that. And so I partner. So I started talking to people about this, and I partnered with who later became a good friend of mine, a partner in this enterprise, Fred Park, who was a teacher. At that time we lived in Boston, so he was a teacher, math teacher in the school where my kids went. Fred Park is a fascinating person. He's an educator, Title I teacher, instructional coach. So together we got out on this journey to build this program that encourage kids to think. First of all, let them go of the screens, free them from the screens, and then encourage them to think, encourage them to reason, encourage them to use their imagination. And so it became a very powerful educational tool. So that was our first product. And about half a year ago, when we saw the power of this technology, I had this idea. When we lived in US, my kids they studied Spanish in school. When we came back to Israel, there was no Spanish here. So they were complaining, oh, we spent so much time learning these words and now there's nothing. It's all gone. So I said, well, it's very interesting because maybe I can do something. So I had this idea. I was wondering, can we use this technology also to teach languages? And it's something very powerful because my kids are trilingual. I speak Russian to them in my mother tongue. My wife speaks English to them, and we live in Israel, so they speak Hebrew. Although it's like maybe sort of what I'm going to say, it's sort of pseudoscience. My wife has always laugh at me that it's no serious person will believe what I'm saying. But when I look at them, I'm always fascinated how they learn languages. It's amazing to see. So free think happens when we teach them languages. And again, it's sort of pseudoscience, but so probably the way kids learn languages is very different than adults learn. But something very interesting, because think about this. When we talk to them in our languages, we never teach them grammar. We never correct them, right? If they make mistake, we never say, oh, no, you have to say that. We just keep talking. And we speak in the correct way. If they make mistake, we just repeat after them in a correct way. And I was thinking, I wonder if I can use Alexa to reproduce this dynamics of learning languages. So about half a year ago, we released this product. It's called. Yeah. By the way, I didn't give the name of the name of the company is ThinkingCapInnovations, and think of name of our math program. It's called ThinkingCap Math. So this Spanish learning program called ThinkingCap Spanish. So it's very interesting, very powerful tool to study Spanish. It's sort of interaction storytelling. There's a Little Red Riding Hood, and there's Gingerbread Man, and like all the heroes of the fairy tales, and they talk with themselves. There's a plot there, and you just hear the conversation and you repeat after them, and you participate together with them in this learning. So it's became very powerful. So that's two products. That's about our company.
That is really cool. I love the focus on Alexa and the voice. One, because it doesn't require a screen, but also just I've thought for a long time, and I still believe that I think voice is where most things are going. So I think that's such a great place to be, but a really cool one. As you were talking and telling a story about watching your kids and the interaction, I'm thinking of my kids the same way they interact with Alexa. I mean, Alexa in our house is basically just like another child that just happens to do a lot of stuff for us. Yeah. And I love that. And my kids also, we do a lot of different learning stuff, but through just sort of the things that are there, the storytelling that she does and stuff like that. So I love that you've harnessed that power and utilizing that for education. That's really, really cool. So, I want to dive into something. This is, something that we always talk about on our podcast is failure and learning from failures and growing from them. And I'm hoping that maybe you can share a story with us about a time you've had a struggle or failure in your life and kind of take us there with you. What happened? How did you overcome that? And what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah. Thank you for this question, Jeff. It's actually, since, I knew some of the questions, before, I spend a lot of time thinking what of my failures I'm going to share with you. And of course, as a parent, we fail every day, no question about that. And learning as a parent from our failure is very difficult because we don't always immediately know that that's actually failure. Sometimes failures look like success, but then when they get to 14, we find out that actually was a big failure. But I'm still not. Our oldest is 9 years old, so I'm not in this range yet. But I want to share with you my interest in failure, which actually was a huge failure, and it changed my life completely. And it turned out later for me that not only my life, and it's my experience in the army. And as you may know, as your listeners may know, in Israel there's a compulsory military service. Everybody go to the army. But me, since I remember myself, I always was a musician. I played violin as a young child and later viola. So for me, it was clear from young age that I want to become a professional musician. And in Israel, for kids who do something very serious like music or sport, there's a opportunity to continue doing it in the army. There's an orchestra, there's like sport groups or whatever, but you have to be very, very good. And there's a big competition how to enter this. So to get to this orchestra, and I was preparing for a year to get to this competition, and I didn't get it. I wasn't good enough to play in this orchestra because obviously there's so many kids who want to get there. And I was, 16, 17 when I was, and that was a huge failure in my eyes, to the level that I felt like my life is over because everything I wanted to do in my life is to be a musician. And it was clear that after 3 years, being in the military, there's no chance I will be able to continue being a professional musician. So I was standing there and like completely like shocked, shell-shocked. Like, I don't know what to do. That's it. That's my life is over. Like, what's next now? And sometimes, like there's a way when you're in a situation like this, there's a way to manage it, to say, okay, you got a lemon, let's make a lemonade. Means, okay, let me do something. Okay, I get the situation. Whatever what I can do, I will do with it. I'll find something good to do is what happened. But I actually, maybe it's my Russian upbringing, which like I always like love that like in Russia they eat snow for breakfast. So like this lemonade doesn't work there. So I found another approach, and my approach was like, I think maybe Dr. Seuss pioneered this approach in one of his books when he said, I've bought a big bat, and now my troubles are going to have troubles with me. So that's like very, very different approach to deal with the troubles. So what happens that I got to the army after finishing this course of when everybody do with a few months of a young soldier. I was sent to be in the desert in some tank unit to run after tanks and take care of the tanks. And I got there with my violin. So I come to the base, and I remember the commander who meets me at the entrance, and it's like this face and this look, and he says, "What is that?" And my answer was, "This is violin. Nice to meet you." And you work here from 8 to 6, or whatever your work hours. So after that, it's my time. So I found some shed in the end in some corner of the base, of the military base, and I was waking up every day 5 a.m. And after my work was over, like 6, 7 p.m., I was going back to the shed and I was practicing every day. And that was an amazing experience for me because first of all, it helped me to remain sane. It's helped me to continue my way of living and believing that I continue, no matter what, I will do my thing. But also, my commanders noticed probably this craziness. It's ended up that after a year, I was moved to another place, and I ended up working with computers and doing completely different things. And actually, I was exposed to things I never saw before. I was exposed to working with computers, to programming, and eventually it changed my career, because when I finished my military service, I said, wait a minute, I learned so much. I saw so many different people. I don't want to go back to music. I don't want to go back to playing in the orchestra. I want many colors in my life, and I want to learn programming. I want to learn physics. I want to use science, whatever. So I went, so I went to study physics, and it was for me so important to go to be persistent in this way. So I ended up going all the way till PhD. So that's like sort of prove myself I can do it. So this whole experience was completely life changing for me. And it's actually later in another amazing thing happened. I was like many years after that, I was walking on the street, and suddenly some guy came up to me and said, hello, you probably don't remember me, but I was with you in the same base when you were playing your fiddle. And, I want to tell you, you changed my life, because I failed in school. I never studied anything in school, but I saw you waking up every morning at 5 a.m. and playing the thing. So I decided I have to do something with my life. And now I'm happy to tell you that I'm doing PhD in biology. And I was completely blown away, because there's something you do, you don't even realize how what you do influence other people. So that's a story of my failures that became life-changing for me.
So life-changing. I love that. So many different pieces that help us get to where we end up finding so much happiness and success. I love that. If you had to identify, you've experienced so much. If you had to identify a piece of advice that you would like to share with educators, whether they be a new teacher or a veteran teacher, any educator, what piece of advice would you want them to consider?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I like your show, and I listen to many episodes, and I like this question also. So I like the answers people give, and I know one of the most popular questions, not one of the most popular, but many people like to give this question of love, that it's very important to love the kids. And I absolutely agree with that. And I was sort of want to extend to this. I remember once I was in some meetup of EdTech community, and the presenter asked the group of the people, he said, raise your hand if you remember your favorite teacher from school. And everybody raised their hand, and then he said, okay, now raise your hand if you remember your favorite textbook. And nobody obviously raised their hand. And he said, so that's just to show you what education is. It's not about conveying knowledge. It's not something about much more bigger. It's about inspiring you, encouraging you, helping you to find your own strength. It's about believing in yourself. All these other things that you cannot find in a textbook. So that's my advice to the new teacher, to remember this and be one like that when you work with the kids.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Who remembers your favorite teacher? All hands go up. Favorite textbook? None. That's such an important lesson that it's so much more than that. I think it's such great advice. So let's keep going. So you listen to the show, so you know what we're doing next, Misha. We're doing the 6 questions, and your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready for this?
But Jeff, can I tell you something? Right? I know that you have another question that you like to ask about successes. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's share it.
Yeah, because there's one success that I really want to tell you about. So when we started working on ThinkingCap Math, so the first group of audience we approached with this program was special education kids. and a particular group of special education, blind kids, visually impaired kids with like severe blindness, and we partnered with a few schools. We partnered with around 10 schools who work in this field, and we started this pilot in last January, just a few months before pandemic hit, and the experience was absolutely overwhelming because for these kids, first of all, when you talk to teachers who work with visually impaired students, you don't have to convince them that they need your help because they have no technology at all that can help their students. So when you come up with such a solution, how can I join? So that was very impressive. But then when kids started using this technology, that's the way we worked. They used to send me audio recordings of the kids working with the program, so we can listen and improve the program. So I have to tell you, and actually before the show, today I listened again to one of the recordings. It's every time I listen to this, it's like really bring tears in my eyes, because when you manage to touch someone who is so vulnerable and you change their life in these little things, it's like it's unbelievable. So just in this recording I listened today again, in the end of the recording, one of the kids said, and thank you for creating for us ThinkingCap Math. Mm. So I was like, sobbing in a way, like, no, thank you. I was like, thank you. And it's
that really is.
Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable. And actually, today, it's something what happens right now. It's very interesting in this field of voice technology in schools, because before pandemic, when we talk to districts, what happened that most of the answer usually was no. No, why do we need this thinking without screens and like we have computers or whatever? But today we talk now something very interesting happened. First of all, well, it's a very difficult time. It's very sad time for so many people. People lose their loved ones. People lose their jobs. It's actually a difficult time, obviously, but something very interesting happening to EdTech community. People who work in EdTech right now have this very interesting opportunity to help people with the technology. So suddenly, our solution was brought to the main stage, because now when I talk to districts, suddenly, wait a minute, you tell me it's without screens. So the same question was last like half a year ago, was without screens. So now without screens. That's interesting. And then when you say, wait a minute, so now the priority is completely changed, because now the high priority, how to be safe, how to protect the kids. And like, wait, you tell me it is touch-free technology. So without screens and touch-free, so I want to talk to you. So that's something very interesting. And then, now, of course, when we talk to this technology, we should take all the precautions of privacy and everything. And it's all very legitimate questions, and they are solvable. And there's many things to work on this. But now the approach is completely different. So teachers now look at this technology as a very important helper. And I want to share with you that now we continue on our pilot, and at this point, we have more than 100 schools across the US who expressed interest to join our pilot. So for us, it's a very exciting time when we can really see what's happening and see how with our technology, we can make a change. So I also want to tell your listeners, so whoever wants to hear more is welcome to join and to get in touch and to join us.
Very cool. Definitely a success worth celebrating. That's awesome. I appreciate that you shared that and do that. Yeah, and we're going to definitely make sure that they have all the links to connect and get involved in the show notes as well. And we'll talk about that right at the end as well. But I do want to get into our 6 questions, and we can do these in 15 seconds or less.
Yeah.
So I know you know these, so I think you're probably ready. So we're going to go into them here. What is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
Yeah, I thought about this. It's very interesting. So I would say it's my phone because today this smartwatch it give us like everywhere I do exercise, I go commute, anything. I'm listening to podcast, to a lecture, to something. Any moment, it's opportunity to learn. And
give us a book you're reading right now.
Yeah, so I'm in this stage in my life right when I read much more children's books than reading books for myself. So on the spectrum of the children's books, our favorite right now is Berenstain Bears, and nice. Berenstain Bears is an endless source of wisdom and charm and everything. And for myself, when I have 10 minutes at the end of the day before I fall asleep, I read right now Sapiens by Yuval Harari. It's a fascinating book.
Great. And who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
Wait, say it again.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
Yeah, so in my field, there's a fascinating person. There's her name is Julie Danielle Davis, and she's a teacher and working with schools and in technology with schools, and she's a very important voice in adoption of voice technology in education. So I'll read and listen to everything she writes, and she does. She also has a podcast, by the way. That's another question on your podcast. She has a podcast called Voice in Education.
Yep, she just rocked out number 4 too. Nice, getting us going.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll go to number 5, which is give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into. Yeah,
so I'll skip this one. I really don't have a good question for this, but I have a good answer for number 6.
Well, then let's go to number 6. The best piece of advice you've ever received.
Yeah, and actually, I had so the best piece of advice in my life, not in my life, but in my parenting career, I would say. It was, if you want to see behavior again, pay attention to it. And it's so much true, not only parenting, it's also in parenting with your kids, in a classroom with your students, with your spouse. I remember when we just got married, my wife was always it's really contagious, these good things. It's really contagious. I remember when we just got married, my wife was saying always, "Thank you for taking out the garbage." I was like, why are you thanking me for taking out the garbage? But that's really contagious because now I always tell her also, thank you for hanging the laundry, or thank you for this. And it's really contagious, and it's created this level of positive energy in the family, which is amazing. So
I love that. That's so great. I want to make sure that our listeners can stay connected to you and find the resources of, I know, so many different things that you've shared. Would you mind sharing with us kind of your website, where they can find you on Twitter, things like that?
Yeah, so you can Google ThinkingCapInnovations, or our website is www.thinkingcapinnovations.com. We're on Twitter, ThinkingCapEdu, and we're on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, and you can contact. And again, I'm inviting teachers and districts to join our free pilot. We're now completely free. Our math program and our Spanish learning program is free, and we are running a pilot all across the US. So if you would like to join us, we will be happy to hear from you. Just contact us on our website or directly to me at michael@thinkingcapinnovations.com.
I love it. And you can find all the links and resources and everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com in the show notes, as well as those really important links for connecting with Misha and the company and everything to get going and get involved in that free pilot. And then so make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators, and just share this podcast with them. Misha, this is awesome. I'm so happy to have you on. The work you're doing is incredible. It's so great to hear. Super excited to watch it continue to grow and impact lives. I really appreciate you taking some time to spend some time with us tonight, but getting up super early to spend some time with us. Doing that, really, really appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for my kids who didn't wake up.
Yes, applause to your kids for staying asleep. That's great. So we appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Right, thank you, John.
And until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.